beautiful souls. I am Valeria Maritza at Healing Through You. I am an infinite being of light, and so are you. Were you able to hear that rain in my window just now? It was incredible. I had the feeling of, okay, I need to record the next podcast. Something's coming through. And as soon as I had that thought, I'm like, okay, let me get my phone. Let me get ready. This rain started pouring and pounding on my window. And as soon as I started recording, pretty much it stopped. So I don't know. I mean, these are the types of signs that we receive that really are our guides, our angels, our spirit guides communicating with us. And there it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's the theme of today. Your spirit guides, your higher self, God, your angels, whomever it is that you work with, are imploring you to pay attention. So we are getting so many messages right now. The communication is so strong and it's just repeating itself, like the numbers, right? The repeating numbers 111, 555, 222, whatever it is that you're seeing is increasing, not just by a specific person, a specific number, but like the more that you, we acknowledge it. And there's my dog giving into this podcast as well. The more that we acknowledge this, the more that we raise the frequency and the consciousness to pay attention to these numbers. And the more that we do this, the more that other people begin to pay attention and see these things and acknowledge them. And so it goes, continuing on and on and on, always raising and adding to the frequency. The guides are really strong today on that, on paying attention to what the signs are. That voice in your head when you think of a past loved one. I'm sorry, I just can't stop laughing because my dog continues to bark and, in the middle of my podcast, which means my dog is communicating too. Yes, that's what it means. Anyway, okay, don't think I'm crazy. It's not crazy. This is really pay attention to what it is that's happening when you're speaking, when you're talking, when you're going somewhere, and something is giving you a message, right? And it can be just as simple as your dog or your pet asking for attention, barking, bringing your attention. Think and pay attention to exactly what it is that you're saying or thinking about when the messages happen. Does that make sense? Okay, so I'm going to give you an example. When I first started doing my spiritual business and I started working with people, I started by just believing that and knowing that I could help with physical pain. So I put out a post saying, if you're having headaches or you're having any type of physical ailments, come to me and we will do a session and in exchange for a testimonial. This is how I started. Exactly. I wanted to try it out on strangers because this is also coming through for you. Because whenever we practice whatever it is that we think that we have, our gifts, right? And you're just starting out, it feels very, very safe to do this with people that we know. And there's two things that happen with people that you know. Number one, the people that you know that don't believe in you are going to deny it, not receive anything, and they're going to make you question what you're saying. And so you're going to just retrieve back. The ones that are believing in it and are kind of like excited about it and receiving messages, they're going to be very excited, give you confirmation, but your brain, your ego is going to say, nah, they're just saying that because they're your friends or they're your mother or they're whomever it is. And that happens, guys. This happens, like literally. This happened to me for years when I would do something and then as soon as it would happen, I would just discredit. I would say to myself, they're just doing that because they're my friends. They're just doing that because they want to help me. So I would put this discredit right back on myself. They weren't saying it. It was me saying it, me putting it on. And that is what kept me from sharing my gifts earlier or more often or believing in myself that this was actually something. So when you put it out there for strangers like I did, you put a post somewhere in a place that you feel safe, or that maybe that you feel that nobody knows you, because then it's okay if if people see it, and because it's no one that you really know. This is what I did. I did it on a post of a different group, not even my group, a group of somebody else that was saying, you can do these things there. So I did this, and I had all these people come on, and I did the work. I was doing the work, and I was getting the feedback, and that's how I began to trust and believe in the gifts that I had, because these were strangers, because there was nothing I could say to myself. I couldn't say they're just doing it to help me, or they just like me, or they're my family. I couldn't say any of those things anymore because they were strangers. They were total strangers. So it was during this time that I was doing this. I was doing one of the sessions, and right in the middle of it, this helicopter begins to hover over my house. And I had the windows open because it was spring day. It was a beautiful day. So I had the air coming in. And so it sounded even louder. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Let's just wait for this helicopter to go. Well, what happens is the helicopter didn't go. And I'm sitting there on this Zoom, and I'm getting annoyed, and I'm getting like, oh, when is this going to leave? I can't concentrate. This is like taking my mind away. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Just please let it go away. And I kept waiting for it to go away. I kept pushing it away. Then all of a sudden, I had this thought, and I verbalized that thought with my client. And I said, do you have anyone that has passed or crossed over that maybe was in the military? And this thought came to me because listening to this helicopter, it almost sounded like a military helicopter to me. I didn't go out out the window to look at it and see what it was because I was on a Zoom with a client. So I was just like trying to keep it cool and waiting for this thing to go. Anyway, I had that thought. I verbalized it. I asked the person. And she immediately confirmed. And she said, yes, her father. And at that moment, I was like, oh my gosh, I think this is your father. And I say these words, and the helicopter flies away. Dude, yes, this is exactly how spirit, your guides, may communicate with you in a way that we would never think this is the way. So they got my attention in a certain way. It bothered me. I was trying to delete it, get away from me, go away, you're interrupting me, all of this stuff, when in fact, that was the message I was supposed to deliver. And because I spoke the thought that came through, which, now I know it wasn't my thought, it was the spirit telling me this, and she confirmed it, that's when it all clicked. And then I ended up delivering a message to her from her father. It was a beautiful thing. It was an amazing moment. I was not expecting it. I was kind of scared because I was like, this is not what I told people I do. How is she going to take it? Is she going to be like feeling like I'm doing something that she didn't really believe? Like I was scared, guys. This is the truth. I was really scared to share this information, but I did. And once I did, and I got all that confirmation from the client, I was like, oh my gosh, am I a medium? Did I just communicate with someone who crossed over, right? Of course, if you've read my book, which is called, oh my gosh, what is my book called? I wrote a chapter in the book, The Voyage and the Return, A Path of Self-Discovery. That's what it's called, and it's on Amazon. If you read my chapter 13, I tell in that chapter that after my mother passed away, I had this experience when I went to a church in Venice, and I heard my mother speak to me as clear as day at this church. And I had this beautiful telepathic conversation with her at that time, and that was, some 20 plus years ago. And so bringing it back to more recent time when I'm working on my own stuff and I'm sharing my gifts and I have this experience and I'm like, oh my gosh, am I a medium? Like, why didn't I think this like 20 plus years ago when I communicated with my mother? You see what I'm trying to tell you? I wasn't thinking this back then because back then it was my mother communicating with me, someone I know. And so that's the only person I can communicate with, right? That's the thought, right? It's like a one-time thing. It happened because it's my family, my mother, I miss her, right? Maybe I even made it up, like all of those things that come up. And so that part of maybe I can actually communicate with the other realm didn't enter my awareness back then, but it did now, right? And so now I'm thinking, wow, am I this? Can I do this? And Of course I can, right? And you know what? You can too. You may not be able to do it right now or be completely aware of it, but I'm telling you, you can too, because we all can communicate and tap into different realms if we choose to. That's the big thing, right? So if you have come from a background where you believe that communicating with past loved ones is a bad thing, then you are not going to choose that, and therefore you are not going to be able to do it, right? So it's all choice. What do you choose? But if you did at some point decided to choose that part, you would be able to do it with intention, right? You just have the intention, you put your mind to it, you practice it, or you do the deep work, which is what I did. I did the deep work. So here, going off a little bit more, doing deep work within yourself means that you are working on yourself, on your shadows. Every time that you point your finger out at someone and blame them for whatever it is, that is a wound that you have yourself inside of you. And this is why you get to see it on everyone else or on whomever it is that's pushing your buttons. Once you're able to realize, oh, wait a second, that's me, and maybe I need to work on that, and then you figure it out. I'm not going to go deeply into like how you do that. Then you're able to clear that wound, that event, that thing that happened, and you create space in your body. And once you create space in your body, what do you think you fill it up with? Light. You fill it up with light, divine light, that beautiful part of you that exists, that is connected always. And the more light that you hold in your body, the easier it is for you to connect with other realms, your higher self, the angels, whomever it is that you want to communicate. So yes, you can all do this. We can all do this. We all have so many different gifts, right? And so just like I told you, when I started this, I thought that my gifts was to help people with physical pain. And now my work has expanded so much where I'm able to transmit light language, clear ancestral stories, rewrite stories, travel to different galaxies. And if I am talking about things that are like completely out there for you, I understand, because I was there too. I remember about a year ago, another healer was talking about fairies, and I'm like, all right, she lost it. Like, okay, that's just too much for me. I'm just not gonna go there. That is definitely not real. And that's what I thought, and that's what I felt, and that's what I said. Yet now, I actually see fairies in my subconscious the way that I see through my third eye. Okay, don't laugh at me. This is true, okay? This is happening. The more that you allow yourself to believe, and the more light that you get into your body, the more that you are able to receive. If somebody listens to this who's completely not into this, you're saying, yes, the more that you do this, the more cuckoo you are, which is, by the way that most people who don't believe in this type of stuff believe. And that is a wound that we carry on. And that's the reason, that is the number one reason, that when we connect with any type of our gifts and we don't have the support and we don't know somebody else who's doing it that we can talk to, that we repress those feelings and those gifts for fear of being labeled as cuckoo, right? Something's wrong with that person. They lost their marbles. Okay. Actually, somebody just posted something about that on my Instagram, about something that I posted. And they were like, okay, you've lost your marbles, something like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, here it is. It's coming up. It's popping up again. That fear that I had years ago when I started this, of like, oh my gosh, I can't tell anyone. And everyone around me when I was doing the work was so supportive, and everyone was doing the same thing. And everyone that I share with was seeing me, right? And now that I'm like true to myself, I'm like, okay, this is who I am. I'm just gonna share it. And there I am, posting it out there to the public. At the public, it's not my safe space anymore. The public is a place where anyone can see it who finds me, right? And if somebody finds me, reads it, sees it, and then judges me, it brings back that wound. It brings that wound to me. And I'm like, okay, why is this showing up again? I'm feeling triggered. What's going on? Why is this happening, right? A lot of us go through things where like, oh, okay, I did all of these things. I did all of this work. I thought I was done with that. And here it is. It happens all the time. Your growth, your journey is a spiral. It has the lows, it has the highs. It has the lows, it has the highs. It continues to go. When something comes back and you feel like, I did this already, why is it here? It does not mean that you are reverting or going back in time or anything, as in like nothing that you've done has worked. What it means is that now you're ready to see and heal things at a deeper level or at a different level. Does that make sense? So anyway, you're being called to really pay attention to your guides, to the signs that you are being given, to all of those synchronicities. You know, the ones like you think of someone and then they call you, or you think of someone and then you run into them at the mall or walking out somewhere, or you're thinking of a specific thing that you want and then it shows up for you, right? All of those things, those synchronicities, those are your signs. That's you communicating with the universe, communicating with your guides and asking for things, and the universe is delivering it to you. Really easy, really being in alignment when things like this happen. As I just saw the time turn from 15:55. So the fives have been a big repetition number for me. The fives, when you see fives, 555, that means a lot of change. Big change is coming. Change, sometimes, most of the time, it's not easy, guys. Why isn't it easy? Because, well, you know, humans don't like change. A lot of times, in order to change things, a lot of things need to fall off, or they need to leave, or they need to break, right? In order to like have a change. It doesn't have to be painful. Just letting you know, if you're seeing fives, pretty much that's what it means. Don't be afraid. I was afraid when I first started seeing the fives, like, oh my gosh, fearing the worst, right? What does this mean? I am seeing so much change in my life. And it hasn't been as scary or hurtful as I imagined it to be. It never is. Your imagination is always greater, creates more fear and more drama than what actually is. All right, turning off that part. The theme of this podcast, what my guys wanted me to talk to you about, is pay attention to the signs that you are receiving. Very important. The more that you pay attention, the more you receive the signs. The more you receive the signs, the more you trust. The more you trust, the more you are inclined to take action upon the messages that you are receiving. The more that you take action, the more you feel in alignment. The more you're in alignment, the easier and more joyful your life becomes. Wasn't that a beautiful just chain of words that just flew through me? Amazing. I love it. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for this message. I hope that this message has helped you. Please pay attention to whatever it is that you are receiving, whatever signs. For example, if you just found me and this is the very first time you've ever heard my podcast and you're getting this message, there's a reason for that. There are no coincidences. You are being pulled into here to get this message for a reason. It is for you. There's no question. It is for you. Whatever it is that you are reaching out to and you're being pulled to listen, pulled to go to, there is a reason for it. Trust, believe in what you are receiving, your messages, the feelings, the gut feelings inside of what you want to do. With that, guys, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for being here. I love you so much. Please write a review on my podcast, and please share so that more people can receive the messages that are running through me here. If you're finding this valuable. Thank you so much, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.